powered by Early Ball, the colors of rock and roll.
Hello guys and girls, this is Alex from Guitar Magazine and I'm very excited to have here with me today Alda Tryggvason, also known as Addi, from Icelandic legends Sólstafir, to talk about their new seventh studio album, Twilight of Codependent Love, which is releasing on November 6th, if I'm not terribly mistaken.
Yes, true.
And Addi, I hope didn't butcher your name too bad right there. I hope it's all right if I call you that.
No, it's pretty good. Well, thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. So I was searching for words in the introduction there a little because I was thinking about calling you metal legends, but in the end you always...
That's nice. I like that.
You sat comfortably between all musical chairs, so to speak, for the last years that you've been doing music, and also on your new album heard some very unique stuff that I don't think I heard you do before in quite that manner. So first thing I wanted to ask you about was how you approach your songwriting process all in all. When did you, for example, start putting together ideas for this new album?
Well, I'm glad you were going to call us, first of all, battle legends. Not that we're legends, more like that you called us a metal band. Because, of course, when we formed this band, we formed it as a metal band. And we are sort of all metal kids at heart. We've been that since, we're in our 40s now. And we've been that since we were like 12. So that's a long time. We still treat this band and act and think and breathe as a metal band. I mean, we play electric guitars, we play riffs. Sometimes we don't play riffs. We tour. It's, most of our audience is metal crowds. So we are indeed a metal band. But we're not your ordinary Judas Priest accept metal band.
Definitely not yet.
So I like us. We like exploring stuff. Just making something different out of something else. That's sort of what we do.
Is it about like what you hear at the time? Musically, is different ideas coming from stuff you pick up from the outside, or is it just a basic intrinsic thing?
I mean, sure. For example, when I sort of discovered Neil Young, I don't know, many years ago, that affected how I wanted my guitar to sound. Mm-hmm. Well, when you listen to our new album or the last one or the one before, you're not going to hear any Neil Young sound in that. But I know that did have an effect to it. And I also want to be able to I still want to be able to play a Slayer riff on my guitar.
Yeah.
So I'm still, the Slayer fan at heart. I love Neil Young. So, and I still want my guitar sound to be able to play a melody, the big reverb chords like Fields of the Nephilim. So I want it all. I'm really, I'm trying to play it all with the same sound. Sometimes I'm always changing it. So this pickup, this amp, this pedal, this, So I really want to be able to do all these styles with the same sound. That's sort of what drives me from many different angles, trying to pinpoint it to one.
The sound on the new album also is like a very interesting topic because I noticed it's like still very, very raw. You can almost hear you like play in the room that you're in the studio. And I was going to ask you about how you achieved that guitar sound, because I think when I searched the YouTubes, like for a couple of live videos you did, I almost always see you playing a guitar by, I think his name is Gunnar Orn, if that's
Gunnar,
right. It's a flying V style guitar. And did you use that in the studio as well?
Yeah, I did. Normally, we've done, I don't know if it was at Octa or some other album, we'd bring out 10, 15 guitars, pick every guitar for every part. And I think on this one, Obviously, I didn't use that one for the whole album. I mean, but for nearly all of the sort of main guitar, riffs and fundamental guitars and songs, I used that one. Yeah, It's just it's based off my old Flying V, Gibson Flying V. I've played, I don't know, 1,000 gigs on it, so it's very much my guitar. It has my dirt, literally my blood, sweat, and tears on it. So it's very much my guitar. And I even think that Gringo just used his Les Paul on every part that he played on this album. So this is a less experimenting album. I'm just, thinking. I mean, of course, there is one song that I remember I played the Strat. But it needed a Strat sound. But this is less. I mean, I have all my guitars here.
Oh, cool.
And I can even, So this one is here.
Right, that's the from by.
Yeah. So this is what I use normally.
That's great.
And this is my first guitar. This is my Strat. So it's
so cool.
It's very much filled with dirt and stickers and God knows what.
Is that a Sustainiac pickup right there at the bridge?
This is a DiMarzio, yeah, some DiMarzio that I bought in the 90s and put it here. I don't know what it's called, but it sounds killer. It's a little humbucker. Maybe it's a Sustainiac. I don't know.
Very cool.
So yeah, I'm not gonna show you all of my guitars, but
very cool. So what about amps? Like, do you use your own amps in the studio, or do you go and use what's in the studio already?
This time we've just brought the orange hats and the caps. So often we have, I don't know if we're going to say have burned ourselves, but so often we've gone to a studio and saying we'll just use the similar gear in the studio. But it's always sounded different, man. We used to use a lot of 70s. We used to tour with 800s and 900s Marshalls. They were constantly sounding different from every tour. So I thought, like, fuck it, we can't. They're always bringing me JCM 900 has been modified 29 times by 29 different guys, so it doesn't sound the same. So I said we need to get some new amplifiers, and we went to Orange, and we've been using Orange for a few years now. But we used to use sort of 60s, 70s Marshalls in the studio. And, we would borrow them to get that sound. But now we just, for the first time, I think we just used literally our own hats that we carried from the studio, from our rehearsal space, and we just used our touring instruments. So literally what you see on any photos of us the last 5 to 7 years that we've used using live, it's what we used in the studio.
And it's not always easy because like a live setup is inherently different than a studio setup. So sometimes you have to make adjustments, but maybe that's the reason why this album also really sounds live. I wanted to ask you also, did you record live in the studio as a band, or did you put down your tracks individually?
No, not really, because we sort of had demoed the album pretty well. So, no, and we write the songs very fast. Sort of, well, maybe that's not very true, but when we write them, we record them and we don't rehearse them. So right now, we couldn't play any song on the album. There's not a single song that we know how to play. So therefore, no, there's no song. It's maybe 2 songs that sort of I would be playing guitar with Hallgrímur. But no, it's not recorded live. I mean, as in all the members playing together. all the things being recorded. If that's what you're no.
So how is a Sólstafir song written in the first place? Is it a band effort where there's like a lot of jamming going on in the rehearsal room, or is it more like an individual thing where someone writes something, demos it, and brings it to the other guys to say, "Hey, look at this. What do you think?"
We write it together in a room. I think that's sort of the magic of being in a band. Just being in the band, being in the room, bouncing ideas, having the arguments. Bouncing ideas. That's making the jams. I think on this album, there's one song that Hallgrímur brought in on his own that he did at home, and that's very super rare for us. He brought one song that but my first reaction was just, that's a song, man. I don't even want to touch this. But I used to write all the music and the albums, sort of our first albums. But when Sæþór was playing guitar with us, I mean, he didn't play guitar first. He writes sort of half the music with me, and Svavar writes as well. So it's always been very much of a musical collaboration in the rehearsal room. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also noticed that you're listed as a producer on not only the newest album but also the couple of last ones. So you worked again with Birgir Jon Birgisson, I think his name is, and
yes.
Also yourself. So how did that working relationship develop, and how is it now?
It's really good. That's why I've sort of why we wanted to work with him again. We've sort of done funny thing. Well, obviously I've always been there sort of while we're producing all the demos, writing all the songs, every minute in the studio, every minute in the mix. So yeah, sort of co-producing the damn thing. So if I go a little bit back, our last 5 albums have been kind of funny because we went to Sweden to record the Cold album. Okay, this might get complicated. We went to Sweden to do the Cold album, and we recorded the Cold album with Fredrik.
Yeah.
And then we came to Iceland, and we went to the swimming pool, and we did Svartir Sandar with Fredrik. And next album, we went to the swimming pool and did it with Birgir. That's Otta. And then after that, we went to the swimming pool with Birgir and Gomez. So not really the same. It's Bertramin. And now we went again to the swimming pool with Birgir, new drummer in the swimming pool. So it's never been the same. Never been the same lineup, never been the same lineup studio producer. Until now. I don't think we can go there again with the lineup being this. Same studio, same producer. We would be repeating ourselves for the first time. So it's been it's always been something new, exciting. It's very nice going there. It's like 15 minutes drive. I can go into my car and drive there, and you're sort of in the small forest. It's a river running through the studio. It's super nice surroundings. Birgir is a super easygoing guy to work with.
Mm-hmm. Let's get a little bit into the songs in specific, because there was one song like I really liked immediately when I listened to the album for the first time, which is Alda Sindana, I think the name is.
That's interesting.
And it's almost like Kayes could have written that song, but you do your own little twists that I think fans like about your music as well, and where you go into like more of a post-rocky, post-metal-y thing during halfway through the song or something. And is it like a spontaneous idea that you have during writing when you do something like that? Because it's very like not expected, so to speak. Other bands wouldn't do that. How do you come up with something like that?
That's very interesting. And I'm glad you mentioned Caius, because I had never thought about that song on Caius. I really like Caius, and we've had some direct Caius influences through the years. No, it's just, I wrote this riff that I really liked, and I just sort of demoed this song basically on my own. And it was just a song that I really liked. Some guys in the band didn't really like it that much, but I thought it should stick on the album. And it's funny you say it's a bit different, because I thought it was a really plain song. Probably one of the most plain songs on the album, because the other songs are very long or obscure. So I was like, guys, we kind of need like maybe one song that's not bloody awkward. And to me, that was this song. I don't know. If you ask me, this is probably the most standard plain song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have a riff, very much of a riff, because we don't really use many like sort of riffing. I mean, if you listen to Metallica, it's just Slayer. It's just riff, riff, riff.
Yeah.
We're so much into sort of jam stuff with chords and sort of melodies, and I don't use the term riffs that often when I describe our music. Except this song, it's very much of a riff song. That's why I like it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, probably that's why I like it too. I mean, you can see a Sabbath poster in the back. I just like a good riff, and that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, and it has a very much of a sort of fuzz sound on it. I get it. That it's I really aimed for this. It needs to be big fuzz guitar tone. It has this riff, and I put so many guitars in it. There's a lot of guitars there.
Yeah, and funnily enough, it's followed right after by the song Or, and that's more almost like a blues number in the beginning. Like it has this very blues bar vibe to it. So again, something that I don't think I heard quite in that manner. It's also in 3/4, right? The time signature.
Yeah.
So again, totally different. Again, going into like a very grandiose part towards the end. Also happening during a jam, stuff like that? Or do you have a plan when you go into stuff like that? Yeah, I really want to do this big chorus thing at the end.
But it's not really a chorus, though. I mean, well, maybe it is. Maybe, it depends on how you think about it. It's a repetitive vocal line. Sure, you can call it a chorus. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. It wasn't really written as a chorus. This is a song that we made very fast. We made the song in like an hour. But it comes from two songs. We had done a jam song that has Hallgrímur singing. Sæþór, our guitar player, he's playing electric organ, and I'm doing drums. Either I was programming drums or playing drums. I can't remember. There was some jamming, and I really wanted to make a song out of it. The guys weren't really so interested in it. They didn't see the magic in it. And then there was a different song that we had sort of I'm not going to use the song. It's not good enough. And that was a sort of a rock song. And that's what you heard. The second half of that was in that rock song. I didn't really like it. The guys really liked that one. So when we were thinking in the studio, the label were asking for some extra tracks. And we were like, we don't really have any. But maybe we can make some extra track for stuff that we sort of didn't manage, so if we can dig up some stuff. And we were literally just gonna dig up some stuff that we didn't like that too much, make a song for the label. It sounds terrible, but that's what we're doing. And we sort of figured out this is different time, this is different speed, this is different. So Hallgrímur basically recorded drums in a certain BPM with no music. He just recorded the drums on his own, complete silence, jammed some drums, And then we just said, well, we can do the rest later if we're going to use this. So, and this was scheduled as a B-side song, because it was made out of leftovers.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we sort of started putting the guitars, the bass, and then when the piano arrived, and when the vocals arrived, you were like, bloody hell, this is not a B-side song. It's just something cool here. So when we just, this almost didn't end up on the album. So this is, we basically made that song in an hour. Even though the parts were written before. That sort of tells you don't have to write the damn songs for months and months, because some songs on the album we worked on for months.
Mm-hmm.
Months. And, last minute, almost throwing half the song away, putting new stuff for months. This was like done in a bloody hour. And it's a really cool song.
Absolutely. Do you remember what, the first song you wrote that ended up on the album was?
I think the first stuff on this album is Akkeri, first song. Among the first stuff that we did was the intro of Akkeri. Sort of that guitar part. I think so.
Yeah, and that's also a song that not only has a lot of different parts that flow into each other, but also a couple more layers on top of each other. So what interested me is, how do you guys decide when it's enough? When does a song have enough, let's call it glitter, on top of the basic structure of the song? Is it hard to go, well, yeah, that's finished now, or maybe we add some strings, some horns there, or whatever?
It's basically when the studio bill is really, really fucking high, and when the label says we need the bloody master yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
This is good, because if the studio was free and there was no pressure from the label to deliver the masters, we probably would still be writing the album instead of putting the cherry on top. But you sort of learn, take your time. You will need more time than you expect probably to do an album, because piece of art is never done. It's just abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and these songs, for instance, a song on Bláfjall on the Bequem album. It's very much alive. We've played it almost every gig since Bequem came out in 2017, and the song has changed a little bit, because sort of it becomes gets alive when you sort of record it. It hasn't learned to walk yet.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've played the song 200 times, it's already in its teenage years. So, I mean, a song like Fjara, that's probably a grown-up human being by now. But Bláfjall is like a teenager, so we're still working on it. It's still progressing. I mean, the songs are alive, because if you keep playing them live, they will always gain a little bit tiny detail. Every gig or year, every jam, check this out what I did tonight, because it's being performed live every day. And rock and roll is, it's sort of twisting the knobs or exceeding the limits or doing something different, or, doing a little bit of solo here or different drum fill here, or sort of catching the rock and roll spirit. So the songs are very much alive, and I'm pretty sure even the songs on this new album will, after 100 gigs or so, they will be a little bit different. Hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Oh, probably, yeah. By that metaphor that you just brought up, also a song would possibly have the ability to die at some point, to grow old. And do you think that could happen to a song? Or are they just immortal? Because music as itself is immortal, and the songs will always be there.
I think it's an interesting question. I'm just thinking about maybe let's just take Paul McCartney. he's still playing the Beatles songs.
Sure.
So I would imagine that any, what should I say? What should I say? Any Beatles song that he's still doing live. It's still alive, the song.
Absolutely.
Maybe when not even, but closest it can come to death is probably will be when the guy who wrote the song, the band who wrote, obviously the Beatles don't exist anymore, but when Paul McCartney dies and no one in the Beatles is playing Back in the USSR or Yesterday, kinda maybe the songs die. Because if I'm gonna carry on playing the song, it's not really the same. It's like parenthood. I mean, like I said, like raising the songs as kids. Because you're fairly young, and then sort of like I said, Fiara has been played so many times. It's sort of like a grown-up human being. So maybe if when Paul McCartney dies, some of the Beatles songs will sort of, in a way, die.
Maybe, yeah. At least we'll always have the studio albums to listen back to them.
Yeah, I'm talking about sort of studio albums. The songs are never gonna change.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. There was one last song in specific of your new album that I wanted to ask you about, which is, I think, the shortest song, Til Morda, which is also, in my ears, the most positive song on the album, at least what it sounds like to me. So I wanted to ask you what it was about, and maybe you tell me it's about death and tragedy, but I don't know.
It's not a positive song at all. It's about someone that's going to kill himself.
Oh, okay. That's
yeah, and but you're right. There's positivity there because he gets saved. He gets saved basically by people that love him.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't kill himself. So you're absolutely right. Some hope there.
Yeah, and I think that comes through in the music as well.
Yeah.
Do you try, especially, to connect the lyrical themes with what you're doing musically, or is it?
No, I think it's no. I don't think so. Without thinking too much about it. Maybe it's just in sort of vocal delivery. Mm-hmm. Obviously. I mean, I don't really think that too much about it, but obviously in a song like Dionysus, it's kind of a black metal song. I think it has to have a little bit more angry approach to it.
Mm-hmm.
than some sad, vulnerable, fragile, emotional stuff. So sure, maybe a little bit in a way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could you ever see yourself or the band as a whole do a song like Tormentor again from the first album, like the really heavy black metal-y 2-minute song?
I in a way I would say that we just did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dionysus is the first song we've used sort of blast beat drums in many years, and it's a very fast song. It's Torment. No, I mean, we would never repeat ourselves. I mean, no, I would never do a song like Tormentor again. But I think, people have been asking this question for many years. Would you ever go back to your roots and do a black metal album? And I was always said, fuck no, we're never gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't really go back. And the funny thing is, we've never really done a black metal album. The closest thing is probably Til Valhallar, which is sort of a mini album. In Blood and Spirit, it's not really a black metal album. We were sort of a black metal band, but you if you listen to the whole of In Blood and Spirit, can't really say it's a complete black metal album. It's not a black metal album like In the Night Side Eclipse or Transylvanian Hunger. No, it's not. But then, like I said, I've been saying all these years we would never do this, but then we made Dionysus, and it came so naturally. It was not like we never said, "Oh no, let's go back and write a black metal stuff." No, it never happened. It was just stuff that we're working on, and that day, by some reason, I said, "Hey, Grimsey, try to." Green Cook comes up with a riff, and it could have been different drums. But I said, "Hey, let's try to do some blast beat," and all of a sudden we have a black metal song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny because, like, in the press, there are a lot of musical genres thrown around to, like, trying to categorize what you're doing. And one that I don't think I ever saw come up was the term doom metal, which was funny to me because a lot of your heavier, slower songs, to me, it blends itself to that comparison. So what would you say? Do you listen to stuff like that?
Doom metal?
Yeah.
Sure. It's not my favorite genre. I'm a very hyperactive, up-tempo guy. I'm like an AC/DC Motorhead guy.
Mm-hmm.
I can play slow music. I don't really listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I mean, doom metal. One of my all-time favorite bands is Paradise Lost, and I don't know if you call it sort of standard doom metal today or not, but Gothic, it's one of my favorite albums. Lost Paradise, Decomposed, used to be my favorite doom metal from England. There's a lot of Finnish doom metal that I've listened to. Sure, but it's I'm more of an up-tempo personality. But I like playing it, but not much listening to it.
I see.
Difference.
Absolutely, you always try to play what you can also, like, feel and connect to in that moment, and it's not necessarily the same that you can listen to all the time. So one last question, maybe, I don't want to cut you short, I think we're running long already, was about the song Her Fall from Grace, a song that you did in the English language, one of the very few songs. How do you decide when to do something like that? Is it when you write the lyrics?
No, it came before, actually. It came before. Normally, we are in the room writing songs, and usually I'm the one writing the vocal lines. So often I just get in sort of the zone, the mood, and I just sing anything that comes to my mind. I sort of inhale the feeling of the song, and let's find out what's going to come out. And I will do that when I'm sort of exhaling any language. It can be Icelandic, English, mixture, or no language, just some sounds. For some reason, I started singing that in English. And, usually we just sing anything and change it into Icelandic later, because we've been using Icelandic for the last 11 years. But something about sort of English sounding vocals, it's sort of stuck to the song. Mm-hmm. And I just said, why not just have it in English? It has a different tone to it. So we don't have any rules, and if they are, we sure as fuck like to bend them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect the next album to be in English. It has like 9 songs, and only one is in English, and even then we could justify more having the title in English. But It just happened. It just happened. It's we never planned it. Usually we don't plan things. We just jump on the horse and ride into the wind.
I think that's a good approach. So Addi, thanks a lot for talking to us today. It's been a pleasure, and I hope it was interesting for our readers as well.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex, for having me.
Thank you very much. I hope you have a good rest of the day with your 7 interviews scheduled. Yeah. Should be a blast. And well, hopefully we'll see you sometime in Germany again.
I really hope so, man.
Powered by Early Ball, the colors of rock and roll.